Chapter 18 of Esthajnalcsillag, Morningstar. Elizabeth was Morningstar's middle name. In Hungarian, she was called Erzsébet. That was her mother's name, her grandmother's name, and all firstborn girls on the mother's side of the family. There was no translation for the name into German. So the Red Cross worker used Morningstar's middle name as her first name. The older brother's name and the baby sister's name posed no problem in translating. The Red Cross nurse and the local Austrian doctor walked up to Morningstar's parents and told them, das ist kleine Mädchen ist sehr krank und muss zum Krankenhaus gehen. Morningstar looked questioningly at her father. She did not understand what was being said, but she assumed that they were talking about her. The doctor gave another injection to Morningstar and some penicillin pills. Morningstar was feeling much better by now. She was still very weak and, of course, groggy from all the medication. Morningstar tried to stand up, but she was quickly pushed back onto the makeshift cot that she was lying on. Keine Elizabeth, dass sie auf dem Feldbett bleiben dürfen. The sound of the nurse was strict. Morningstar tried to explain to this nurse that she does not understand German, but to no avail. The nurse shook her long finger at Morningstar and then left to talk to Morningstar's parents. Morningstar pulled herself up on one elbow and yelled after the nurse, I don't understand you. I don't understand you. I don't understand you. I don't understand. I don't want to be here. I want to go home to my lake. Quickly, the doctor and the nurse rushed back to Morningstar. Cold compresses were placed on our little girl's brow. The doctor said our little girl was hysterical from the fever. It was not the fever that made Morningstar lash out at the adults. It was the realization that her beloved lake is lost to her forever. This caused Morningstar such pain in her heart that she thought she would surely die now. The doctor said that Morningstar should be placed with the other medical urgent transportees. That would have meant separation, the family. The nurse said that our little girl should not be near the wounded. Morningstar's resistance to further infection was lowered by now to such a point that even a common cold would kill her. Finally, it was decided to tag Morningstar on her ankle. Our little girl felt like an animal to be tagged before taken to market. On the tag, her name was written, again that Elizabeth name. Well, Morningstar thought, it is all right to take Elizabeth, as long as these people that can't even speak an understandable language leave her alone. Morningstar was given more tea and her IV was changed. She was feeling strong enough to turn on her side and look around. The Red Cross stand was filled with people. Some were crying, some were in a daze. No one was laughing or rejoicing. These refugees all have been through hell, and they made it out from there. This showed on their tired faces. Clothes, once fashionable and smart, now soaked and covered with mud. Some lost their shoes in the swamplands. Frozen feet and fingers were common. Even if people packed a suitcase, as Morningstar's family did, they discarded them along the way, the weight of the suitcase being just too heavy for the tired, frozen people to carry. Morningstar was in the infirmary section of the tent. There, she saw wounds from the guns of the Russian and Hungarian soldiers being treated. Morningstar also saw the scars from the tortures that some of these people had on their bodies. Awfully sad for 11-year-old little girl to witness. There were men, women, and children of all ages and all walks of life. More and more people were brought in by the Red Cross refugee rescue trucks. It seemed, our little girl, that all of Hungary was heading to this tent. The air was heavy and putrid, with the smell of blood, urine, disinfected, and unwashed body of people that had been on the road probably for days. The wet clothes of the people were actually steaming in the warmth of the tent. Morningstar was gasping for fresh air. Each time the flap of the tent was opened, our little girl took deep breaths. The sudden rush of the cold breeze and fresh air helped Morningstar not to be so woozy. Eventually, Morningstar's strong little body could take no more, and our little girl passed out. Good morning, Fanny and Elizabeth. Morningstar was woken up at those words. Our little girl looked up and thought to herself, oh no, it's that nurse again. How many times I have to tell her I don't understand? Stupid cow that she is, Morningstar concluded. Morningstar felt much better. The medicine seemed to be helping. The nurse brought a basin of warm water and wanted to give Morningstar a sponge bath. She's not serious, is she? All the people were looking at Morningstar, and there were no curtains to hide her from the curious eyes. Men and women all together in one tent. No such thing as privacy. Morningstar protested and drew the blankets up around her. The nurse left with these words, "Ik roep ihren Vater an." Then the nurse left to look for Morningstar's father. Round one won, Morningstar thought to herself. Morningstar's father returned from getting breakfast. There was fresh crescent rolls with butter and jam, an egg for everyone, and a big mug of coffee with milk and sugar. What a splendid feast, Morningstar thought to herself. She was actually starving. The doctor said that if our little girl can keep the breakfast down, then she may be transported to hospital. Our little girl ate all of the breakfast and asked for another cup of the delicious coffee. This was a good sign, Morningstar's father had to admit to himself. Then the question of the sponge bath came up. Uh-oh, Morningstar thought, now I am in trouble. The doctor came over and it rescued Morningstar from being humiliated to death. He changed the dressing on the boil, noting that the dressing was soaked through and there was blood present also. That meant an operation for Morningstar as soon as they reached a hospital. A clean sheet was placed under Morningstar. The doctor said the sponge bath can be forgotten for now. Morningstar would get a proper shower in hospital. Morningstar still could not sit up for long. So she observed the goings on in the tent, propped upon one elbow. Her family was on the cot next to her. Baby sister was sleeping. Her older brother was just sharing a bed and staring ahead of himself quietly. The mother and father were talking to a few men. Morningstar could not hear what was being said. They were too far away, and the noise in the tent was too loud. Morningstar did notice that the men her father was talking to seemed to be clergymen, just like her father. They had black suits on and a collar that in Hungary was the only Catholic priest wore. It was called a Roman collar, and Lutheran ministers did not wear these in Hungary. Morningstar assumed that they were preparing a morning worship service, and that is what was being discussed. 3 men and Morningstar's father came to a little girl's cot. The 3 men spoke in Hungarian. Finally, Morningstar thought to herself, somebody speaks an intelligent language. How the Germans could possibly understand each other was beyond the little girl's understanding. Morningstar's father explained to the family that these 3 men from the Lutheran World Federation, they heard about a Lutheran minister and his family being in this refugee camp. It was not right for a clergyman to be left among the other refugees. So they came to take the family to Vienna, providing that Morningstar was strong enough to travel in a car. Morningstar's father and the 3 ministers went to find a doctor. Morningstar thought it would be great fun to see Vienna. She had read about it in history class and saw pictures of Vienna in her school books. Vienna is not so far away from her beloved Siófok on her lake. She can come back sometime when the adults stop being so unreasonable and illogical. A small ray of hope filled Morningstar's heart. The doctor and a new nurse walked up to Morningstar to check on her condition. Fever did not subside overnight. It was decided to give more medication and a pair of shots for the pain to Morningstar. This was to prepare her for the journey to Vienna and the nearest hospital that could be found. Since Morningstar could not sit up for the duration of the journey, the doctor tried to find an ambulance. All of the ambulances were busy transporting the wounded and dying to hospitals. The ministers from the Lutheran World Federation said that they have 3 cars at their disposal, which will be enough to transport the family. For Morningstar, the back seat of one of the cars was made so that she could halfway recline on it. Her father and 2 other ministers sat in the front seat. Morningstar's mother was placed in a second car with the baby. The brother of Morningstar went in a third car. It caused great pain for our little girl when a doctor and nurse lifted her up to move her into the car. There were only 2 doors to the car, and somehow Morningstar had climbed and be pushed onto the back seat. Morningstar tried not to cry and moan. It would soon be over, she thought to herself. The pain medication started to take effect, and Morningstar drifted in and out of a light, fitful sleep. Before dozing off, the little girl heard the sound of the car engine. It was turned on. The family was on its way to their first journey in a free world. End of chapter 18.